Today's video is in the series on psychological biases, and what that means is our minds work in a certain way, and it's not good or bad, it simply is. But when we understand how our minds work, and we understand how it's getting us stuck and how it can get us unstuck and how it can help us in life, it's a fantastic thing to pay attention to. So I've already talked about confirmation bias. Today I want to talk about recency bias. So recency bias is simply an easy way to explain it, maybe incorrect, but an easy way to understand it is it's basically like our short-term memory is the important memory, okay? Now, short-term memory, recency bias lasts longer than a short-term memory. But basically what this means is that whatever we think about and we remember as most recent, that's what we put the heaviest emphasis on. That's what we give the heaviest weight to, okay? So I'll give you an example. Right now, a great example is Bitcoin, okay? So Bitcoin's been going nuts, although I think it took a dive here in the last 24 hours or so, but Bitcoin has been going crazy. What is everyone talking about? Everyone's been talking about Bitcoin. How long has Bitcoin been around? It's been around a long time already, okay? Not centuries, but it's been around a while, and people completely forget what it did for a very long time. All they care about, all that's on their minds is what it's done lately. Now, I'm not saying Bitcoin is good or bad. That's not the point of this video. The point of this video is that you will make a decision on Bitcoin based on what's happened lately, not what's been going on the entire time. You won't base decisions typically, generally speaking, on everything that's been happening. You typically focus on what is most recent. What's another example? We typically make a decision, and I've got a lot of clients who do this. The reason clients come to me is life sucks on some level. They're like, I'm not getting everything that I want out of life. Not everyone, but a lot of people go, I want so much more out of life. I'm stuck in my relationship with my business, with money, whatever it is, and I want more. I know I'm capable of more. And what they're thinking about is how much life sucks lately. So when there are economic downturns, guess what happens? I get more clients automatically because more people are thinking about how much life sucks right now. They don't think about everything else in the past. Now, this can be a great thing because it motivates us if things are rough right now to take a choice, to make a choice, to move in a direction that we need to move in. Where we can get into trouble with recency bias is that if we've made a decision, so for example, listen, I've got to change. I've got to get up earlier. I've got to start my own business. I've got to do this on my own, whatever it is. If we make that decision, which is great, and then we have a good few days or a good week or two where the stress levels aren't as high, where we don't have that, we're actually sleeping instead of not sleeping for the last week, as soon as we have those few days, guess what happens? Recency bias kicks in and we go, it's not all that bad. Was it really that bad? That's what happens to our memory, where our memory is kind of twisted by the fact that we focus on what's happened recently rather than taking everything into account. We don't remember how awful it was to not sleep for a week because we were so stressed about our debt or whatever it was. So we put more emphasis on what it was in the last few days. I've slept in the last few days, I must be okay. Or I have a lot of clients that come to me, usually like the shortest program typically they'll do with somebody is like 6 months long because it takes that amount of time for our brains to change in many ways. But I'll have clients who go 3-4 months have passed, I think I'm good. And they won't show up for a while. I won't hear from them for a while. I'll contact them and they're like, I'm doing okay. And then 3, 4, 5 months down the road will come and they'll say, hey Mark, can I get involved again? And I go, what's going on? I know what's going on. But what's going on? And they go, well, I guess I haven't learned the things as much as I thought I had. Okay, that happens. Okay, here's a way that I want you to use your understanding of recency bias to make better decisions. What I want you to do is think. Listen, if you've had some situations that have been really rough, there's been an economic downturn and you weren't prepared financially, or use another example here, if maybe relationships were really rocky for a while and you go, yes, they were really rough, I thought I was going to get a divorce, or I thought this was going to happen. Be aware that if you try to remember that well, write things down, how you're feeling, how it's impacting you. If you use that recency bias to your benefit and show all the ugliness of your situation right now, what will happen is later on when you go, was it really that bad? You can remind yourself. You can go back to your journal. You go back to something that you wrote down, or maybe a video that you take of yourself, just talking about how awful it is. And what that will do is it will trigger an emotional response in you of going, oh yeah, it was pretty bad. And the more you can do that to your benefit, the more it will help you. It will help you stick to decisions that you made a week, 2, a month, a year ago to your own benefit that you're starting to get lax on in some ways, okay? So is there anything else I wanted to say? I'm looking at my notes here. Yeah, typically cravings override everything. So I wanted to mention this really quickly. Delayed gratification is difficult for human beings. Delayed gratification is really hard for most of us. So if you can think about the thing that you want in the future, what is most important to you, and you practice thinking about that, that will help with your long-term motivation to get things done because you're associating the right emotional interaction with those things. I want to be wealthy. I don't want $100 now. I want $100,000 later. Okay? Or I don't want a bag of chips now. I want $100,000 later, or whatever it is, okay? I don't want to go on a small trip now. I want to travel around the world later. So that helps give us perspective. The other thing that helps give us perspective is simply focusing, like I just said, going back to your journal or going back to a time where things were tough and go, what was that like? When you remember your fear and your disappointment and your frustration, your shame and all those things, all the things that are typically people call negative emotions, they're not negative, they simply exist. Well, shame is negative. Other than that, I don't know of a negative emotion, okay? They simply tell us what's going on. When you pay attention to those things, what's going to happen is you're going to remember them and you're going to go, wait a second, it's important to make this decision. It'll keep you on track. And really, that's the name of the game. The name of the game is if you can take less breaks, and the breaks that you do take are smaller breaks in time and energy, that you kind of zone out and you aren't working towards your goal. So I've got a lot of clients, I'll give you an example of this, a lot of clients who take a month of just being in a rough place before they come to me and go, I need your help. Or somebody takes a week off, or they waste time for a day or two. Listen, if you can shorten those periods of time, number one, so go from a month of being depressed or anxious, make it a week, make it a day, make it an hour, make it a few minutes. Once you're doing that, you're much more consistently working towards your goals. Secondly, take less breaks. If you're staying on track consistently more of the time, that's good. Now, this doesn't fly in the face of other videos that I've shot of saying take rest. I'm not talking about I'm not saying don't take rest here. I'm saying don't get involved in the useless activities that don't add value to your life, okay? And here's the last thing. I want you to use this to your advantage. I have some people that call me up and they ask about my coaching program and they learn a little bit more and they're like, you know what, things aren't so bad. Basically, it costs money and energy and time to work with me, okay? And if you're not willing to give those things up, if you're not willing to sacrifice and invest those things in yourself, then I've got some people that go, yeah, it's not for me. Well, guess what happens? 6 months later, a year later, actually I had a call a few days ago from a few different people on one day that basically their message was all the same. They said, you know what, we talked a while back, and I decided not to do your program. I need your program now. I need you. And now I'm in a worse spot than I was before. So this is where I want you to use recency bias to your advantage. If things are bad now, and legitimately, you need to take action, take action. Get coaching, get help. It doesn't need to be coaching, but get help in the way that makes the biggest difference for you. And when you do that, I want you to act it out. Make a big choice, okay? So if there's a choice between something that helps you for a weekend and something that helps you for a month or 6 months, take the one that takes longer time, that costs more time, energy, and money. Why? Because now you'll be more committed to it, and it'll take you through some of those times. Foster how much life sucks right now, and remember that, and foster how good it is in the future that you want. Practice delayed gratification. If you do these things on a consistent basis, you are far more likely to get results in your life in the ways that make a difference. Now, relationships and money are typically the two examples that are the two situations that are frustrating to people, the situations that people get more caught up in. So think about those two areas right now. Think about your relationships and think about money. Where have you been? Where are the rough patches that you've been in? Try to bring that to the center. Try to focus on that again, even if you haven't for a while. That exercise will help you make decisions today that will help you work to your long-term success. Delayed gratification. Take the pain now, take the gain later. Because the other option is to take the gain now and take a lot of pain later. Choose the pain now, okay? A little bit of pain and a lot of gain later. Enjoy.